Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Career Hive. And this is podcast episode number 5. We have a great episode ahead. We have Jenny Ervine from Raise Ventures, co-founder, and an organization which supports early tech startups to scale. And basically, apprenticeships is something that they're looking into, so I thought it'd be really good to have her on the show today. We can cover all the interesting challenges, the thought process, why, everything else. So Jenny, good morning and welcome.
Morning, Kufa. How are you? Great to be here and chat through all the opportunities with apprenticeships. Looking forward to it.
Sure, no problem. So just to kind of, I guess, set the scene. If you could just kind of explain what you guys do, and then obviously why potentially you're looking at this kind of early career space around apprenticeships. I know you do some stuff with interns, and you've probably looked at bringing some people on for work experience as well. So that'd be quite good to understand kind of the thought process and connect it to what you guys do.
Thanks very much. So we are an accelerator program. We're based over in Belfast, working with early stage tech companies, helping founders build their technical products, commercialise and look for investment. We work with companies not just here in Belfast, but across Northern Ireland, into the south and into the UK. And we're working with MyPlan, which is fantastic. And I guess what we're finding at the moment is a real challenge, and I think everybody's finding this in terms of talent, not just for Raise itself, but for our startups. And we're trying to find ways to attract people to come and work for our startups. It could be their first or second hire once they get the investment, and how do they bring new talent into those roles that can be quite broad in terms of skill sets to start off with, because there's lots of jobs to do. So I think apprenticeships fits that type of role. It's a learning as you go, whilst skilling on the job.
Yeah. Okay. And what's your experience been, sort of looking into the process? Because I know you and I have had numerous conversations. I remember when you sort of thought about, you're looking into this, and I remember we met some intern potential candidates, and then, you kind of started to look more into apprenticeship space. But just kind of talk me through, the journey that you've been. If we focus on apprenticeships, then we can talk about some of the stuff you've done in the interns. Because I know there's some various programs as well in Northern Ireland.
So actually my first job was through like a apprenticeship type program, which is a graduate program called Premier, and it really accelerated me from a business management student into a job, and you got some training on the job and some mentoring as well at the same time, and it was a really great way to get your first work experience on your CV, I think that's something that we want to do to replicate that within Raise. We have explored working with universities, further education colleges in terms of internships, but our challenge has been around the timing. So they're quite structured in their calendar year and their what time you can bring an intern into your business, and if you miss that, then you're kind of stuck. And then on the other side of the coin, we've had 1 or 2 interns come and work for us, which have been great. But they come into the end of that project and trying to find further funding to keep them on, or maybe it's a natural move on of talent. They want to progress their own career. It's been a learning process for us as to what you need and when, and what gaps you want to fill, and then how you look after them, not just for the project but beyond as well. It's quite, as an employer, it's quite a journey, and we've definitely learned lots so far. Looking to explore this apprenticeship a bit further.
Okay. And what's the process like in Northern Ireland? Because I know it's slightly, I know it's different for the devolved nations, but what's the process like in Northern Ireland? How have you found it as you started that I know you started that journey in terms of registering yourself and all that type of stuff?
It's been interesting. We have one thing called the Job Start, which is a funded type program, and it's focused on unemployed job centre job seekers that are the age 16 to 24, and we've been able to get a role placed with the job centre, and it's been advertised, but the challenge has been a lot of people are after that because it's a funded role, so putting ourselves in the marketplace to attract talent with all these other jobs has been really challenging. We've maybe not had as many applicants as we thought for the Job Start, so that's been an interesting process. And then on the apprentice side of things, the same as I mentioned with the interns, there seemed to be a time-bound piece around it, that you needed to go to the apprenticeship providers, providers, and you seem to flow into their workflow. And I think it was open in January, and they're recruiting now, whereas we're looking now to be open and recruit maybe towards before the summer. So the timing didn't quite work with training providers, and I didn't actually realise that you could do it beyond the training providers on your own. So then through actually chatting with you, came across our Connect to Success program, I think it's called, which is corporates can apply directly to be a host, I guess, for an apprenticeship and go through the process. So we've just done that in the last couple of weeks, and we're waiting to kind of kick that off, I guess. So yeah, it's been a journey.
I know. And what's fascinating is, when you sort of talk to the devolved nations and everyone, in England, the approach is what they call kickstart, which is exactly what Jobstart is in Northern Ireland. And the feedback that you've given is very much the same thing that we're having here with some of the sort of organizations who are starting that process, and not the large organizations, because actually when you look at those two programs, they really sort of fit. As I talk, sort of smaller scale organizations, if that's the right way to put it, where they get really good experience, they can get hands-on experience of kind of being in a type of role. The challenge, I think, is the fact that because they come into the job center, they have a challenge whereby how well are they matching that particular talent, with organizations. And I guess you're sort of seeing that forward.
And the process, although it's focused to small and medium-sized companies, we don't necessarily have the resources to manage it. So sometimes you can see how the apprenticeships sit better with the bigger corporates. We've talked about this, the big four, and they roll out apprenticeships quite quickly and quite easily because it's a well-oiled machine. But for the match to fit a smaller to medium company, it would be nice if it was a wee bit easier for us to do.
Yeah, no, and I was actually thinking about it when we talked about it, because I know we did some bits around trying to kind of you saw interviewed a couple of apprentices, and you were looking at that particular program, and it's fascinating when we were looking at the program how some of the big four have sort of aligned themselves with local universities in Belfast, and they're actually doing their own exclusive program. And it's a shame, because actually if you look at, say, in the West Midlands, where the mayor's kind of driven this transfer of the levy, which means that smaller organisations, as part of the supply chain, could tap into those organisations who don't get to spend everything. It'd be quite good to sort of look at that from there. What's fascinating is obviously you guys were at the beginning of this journey, and what's the information availability been like? Because it seemed like you kind of stumbled across Connect to Success rather than sort of being able to just find that information. And I know you had to then register the role. I mean, how did you find that whole process?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to be actively knowing that an apprenticeship is an option. Yeah. So, when you go out as an employer to recruit, everybody thinks about the job boards, whether it be, Indeed or LinkedIn, and also layered on top of that, using your network to probably at this early stage to try and find people. But unless maybe I'd known about apprenticeships or maybe been through a program myself, it's one of those things you have to know that they're there to go and look for them. It wasn't necessarily jumping out, but back to the time-bound piece, probably at a certain period of time, there's a bit of advertising about it, with particular maybe training providers or whatever, but apart from that, I think you have to just be proactive. But, I'm loving the journey, and I think I love talking about the experience and sharing it and letting people know that it's possible is what today is all about. And the more we can try and encourage apprenticeships, so it's not even just the university graduates, it's further education, it's even school leavers. And I guess from my my network, apprenticeships might be seen as trades, plumbers and builders, but knowing that we can bring them into the small business and not necessarily trade or corporate, it's a real opportunity.
Yeah. So in terms of, obviously, as an organisation, you've kind of looked at this as a real route. Kind of explain to us your vision for what an apprentice will do within Raise, because I know that obviously there's Raise itself as an accelerator, but also the support that you offer to us, because we're part of that.
Yeah.
So how do you see it?
So our startups come through our Raise Accelerator program, and they cover quite a wide range of topics. Essentially, we're training them up to be, the skills that they need for a CEO. So they cover business, finance, operations, technical product, marketing, sales, and we also do an awful lot on the investment piece as well. So it would be ideal for our founder, I'm going to call them a founder associate or apprenticeship type role, to come in and learn those 5-6 elements of the business across. So it's the next step beyond maybe people interested in business but not quite sure where in a business they fit. They've maybe got some mathematical skills that they want to explore finance, or they know that they're creative, maybe from just thinking from students from art or from English or from any of those kind of more creative subjects, and they're interested in maybe sales or marketing, or they don't know what sales is. So if they could come in and apply those theory that they learn throughout school for their education into our role, so they learn in under us as Raise to start with, and then we obviously got a suite of startups that all have projects. Every one of our startups most of them are looking for sales and marketing, to be fair, but most of them also need financial and operational help. So depending on skill sets and the appetite of the apprenticeship, we can place them with our startups and get real life experience, not just with Raise but with a startup. And the idea, vision is that those startups will get investment, and long term that investment would pay for those apprenticeships long term. So that's kind of, that would be ideal. It's a route to attract talent into our startups. Why wouldn't we do it?
And what's really exciting to me is when you look at also different events this week and the talk around how do we attract the next generation of talent, but most importantly, how do we compete against established organizations where they've got the employer brand. We know as startups, you come with a huge amount of risk, and I'm really excited by what Raise are trying to do, and that's why I wanted to bring in the podcast, because it's like, well, it's just if I'm a young person today thinking about an apprenticeship, joining an organization like Raise, that ability to learn on the job is going to be phenomenal, because there's so many great startups. The ability to kind of do the different aspects of what is involved in business, and then once you complete your apprenticeship, you can, if you want to, then sort of specialize, if that makes sense. So if finance is the one that works for you, or if it's operations, that would be the kind of route that you take. So I think it's really, really exciting, and it's a big commitment, because this is a kind of a 3 to 4 year program with all the things that sort of come into play. So we kind of talked about. When you guys were looking at the apprenticeship, did you have a big sell to do internally, or was it kind of like, Jenny, this is a really good idea, let's just go for it, or did you sort of, get some resistance?
Yeah, how do you bring the team on this? Yeah, how do you bring the team on the journey? As an employer, you have to say to the team, look, we're growing, we're scaling, our startups are growing, are scaling, and any small business is looking to kind of go on that journey. And I think internally we've got a couple of different options. As I said, do you go straight to the job board, or do you go for the internships? And we've tried a few, and I think this is interesting because talking about that breadth of knowledge, so they can come and try the different elements that they're interested in, but they also get then the education piece, which actually takes it to a different level. So they maybe have come out of school, or they maybe come out of uni, and their subjects aren't aligned with their skills that they want to maybe explore in a job. And maybe we use that opportunity to the apprenticeship to explore the education side, so they can get a bit more learning. And say, for example, in finance, so they can focus on that niche, or sales and marketing and digital marketing, they can focus on that niche. So that's the added benefit of the apprentice program, is real life experience with the education, I think, and that's why it was something that certainly interested our team.
That's great. And sort of, I know you're in the beginning of the journey and you're kind of really excited as you go through the different phases, but if you are advising or kind of giving some advice to an organization at the beginning of the journey, what 3 things would you take from the journey that you've taken so far and offer as advice to them?
I think when you're recruiting for somebody, look, first idea would be to look at the options on the table. Look at the role that you're looking to fill. what if it's really defined, it can be very easy to create a job description and hunt for the right type of person for that role. But if it's a bit more, a broader role, whereby people can come in and learn, and it's the start of a new department, or it's the start of a new team, or it's something that's got a bit of creativity. Again, I think apprenticeships as an option is great. And for employers, I think just having it on your suite of options and exploring, being ahead of the game, so maybe signing up to these job starts and signing up to Connect to Success early, so that we can understand their process and dovetail your own internal HR process into that. And I think like the process of interviewing and onboarding, it has to be flexible, because as I said, they might not have the CV, I don't know, maybe geography or something, so you're not going to be asking them financial questions if they're geography background, so the interview style and onboarding piece probably has to be a bit more flexible and open and focused on the opportunity rather than focused on the previous CV.
Yeah. And what advice would you have for, say, Connect for Success? Because one of the things we're trying to do is just help, not necessarily, we can't drive policy, right? But what we can do is, when we're having conversations as an organization that gets involved with helping organizations, look to bring that early career talent on board, what advice would you give around how they can support the raising of apprenticeships and the awareness of what's available?
I'd love to see some more regular promotions of apprenticeships and roadshows, and see them, at the fairs, whether that be business fairs or student fairs. So it's giving both sides of the market the ability to understand what opportunities there are. So I think that's really key for Connect to Success to showcase what they're doing, and maybe a bit more hand-holding. We applied, as I said, a couple of weeks ago, and it feels like I haven't heard anything back yet. So it's a bit of a slow process. So if I could, from a apprenticeship government side of things, look, we know things can be slow, and that's back to the planning, as I mentioned earlier. As an employer, you probably need to do it sooner rather than later. So more showcase of it as an opportunity for employers and candidates, and definitely just hand holding a wee bit further if they could for employers, but this is their first time, it's probably more challenging. And just quickly flipping onto the kind of the young person perspective and early careers, and we all had these options to take when we were looking to do our own careers. What advice would you give to a young person who, say, A-level, GCSE, probably in college, and thinking, I want to, or in uni, and thinking, this is not the route, I'm not really enjoying what I want to do? What advice would you give them around apprenticeships and kind of considering that as an option? Careers advice across the board for students, it can be good or it can be average, and I think it's up to the students to try and maybe explore the opportunities earlier if they can. So maybe through their schools or through their network of their family and through their friends, and actually just being proactive, go out to see what opportunities are out there, going out to the student fairs. We're starting to see them popping up now. April, May, June is the time that the fairs are all starting to happen, and just ask the question, and it can happen quite quickly. They have to make those decisions of where they want to go quite quickly, so the sooner they can start that research piece, the better, and have the idea that apprenticeship is an option, further education is an option, going straight into a job and getting experience is an option, and just exploring that. I'm really thinking, I was talking about this actually yesterday about, it's not a job for life really anymore. Take it as the first step to your first experience and learn from that and see if they enjoy it. And if they enjoy it, great, stick at it. And if not, don't be afraid to change. And I think that mindset is quite important.
Yeah. And I think it's also, it's quite interesting when you talk about that. And at the beginning of the conversation, you talked about your experience of when you completed a degree and having that work experience. Some of the organizations we're talking too have talked about this kind of lifelong learning approach, whereby, yes, whether you've done your degree or whether you do an apprenticeship, it's actually that lifelong learning piece that comes into play. So like you said, it's not necessarily a career for life anymore. It's more around you always learning and adapting and picking up new skills. And, if it's apprenticeship, you have that opportunity to pick up as many skills as you can, whilst at the same time getting those qualifications and kind of moving forwards. Now, really exciting. So in terms of, how do you've put your exciting opportunity on the portal, and it's somewhere in the ether, and I promise you it's mixing itself around there. It's coming along, so don't worry about that. How can someone's interested in kind of applying for that role? Where can they go? What's the process with Raise?
As soon as that job goes live, we'll be talking about it through our socials and on our website, and I assume then that'll take them through to the portal to apply. And otherwise, if people are interested in what we're doing, just check out our website, raise-ventures.com. There's lots of events and community things happening that people can come and learn about, even if it's not a job opportunity, and those are both in person and online. So we're open to kind of zooming in people from all across the UK and Ireland and further afield to learn as well. So it's really exciting. I'm looking forward to how this journey progresses.
Probably. Listen, I think it's a really I know it's a really exciting opportunity. So I don't even think I know it's a really exciting opportunity. So we'll definitely be looking to sort of share that wider once it's all approved and everything is moving forward. So thank you very much, Jenny, for spending some time with us and just talking through your journey. I genuinely believe, as I said this to anybody, any organization, regardless of size, I think once you start that journey of looking to recruit early careers talent, it's a really exciting journey, because hopefully they bring a different and a new energy to an organization, and even in the process yourself, you sort of find yourself getting really excited because it's something new. It's not it's great recruiting experienced individuals, but you know what you're going to get. When it's young talent, you sort of you're basically recruiting on potential. So I think it's a really exciting journey. It's a journey into the unknown, but everybody I've spoken to, every organization I've spoken to, and being on the side of both sides of the table, I know that it's a fulfilling one. So thank you very, very much. Hopefully we'll keep in touch, and we'll definitely be talking about the journey anyway and the experiences there.
We'd love to do an update in a couple of months and let you know how the story progresses.
Exactly. We'll come back around and go, how did it happen? He's still going, no, I'm still waiting for the process to be approved. Now it won't be the case. It'll be, look, we found the person we wanted and they're flying. So now thank you very, very much for that, Jenny.
Brilliant. Thank you.